Welcome everybody, welcome to Tech's Position and welcome to this afternoon's Women and Tech session. This afternoon's title, is it still a love-hate relationship? My name's Didi Anolue, I'm the moderator, and we have some amazing women this afternoon, and I would like them to introduce themselves. Anie?
Yeah, okay, so I'll get started. My name is Anie Akpe. I'm the founder of African Women in Technology.
Awesome. Ashim?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Ashim Egunjobi. I am the country head at Elev8 Education, which is a global academy that looks to train and upskill digital leaders. And I double hat at the group of companies I work for at Tech Experts as the business development head for Africa as well. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent, thank you. Cathy.
Hi everyone. My name is Cathy Latiwa. I'm the founder of Latiwa Development Foundation, and I'm so honored to be such among amazing women. Hello from Yaoundé, Cameroon.
Oh, welcome.
My name is Hafsat Abiola Costello. I'm the president of Women in Africa, a continental platform supporting women leaders across Africa. We work in all 54 countries. We have ambassadors in 48, and we focus on promoting entrepreneurship among women.
Fantastic. Welcome all of you. This is going to be an amazing session. To start off with, we know that there has been an explosion of women in tech. What I wanted to ask is, are women more interested in tech now? And if so, why? And if you could start us off, what's your take?
Sure. I think that what's happening is that naturally there's a lot of attention being highlighted to women in technology because the numbers are so small. Initially, when we talk about technology, a lot more people, specifically in Africa, will focus in on what the men are doing. So right now, we're having the opportunity to highlight some of the women as well as encourage more women to come into technology. Naturally, when we think about our culture, me being Nigerian, our culture, there are certain cultural norms that all of us have to, pay attention to. You need to raise a family. You need to do this. You need to do that in terms of being a girl child. So now we're saying there are women in technology, and there are women that are interested in technology, and they're seeing that they don't have to compromise their culture, their beliefs, or anything else in order for them to advance in technology. It's just a matter of, bringing and highlighting these women that are doing amazing things throughout Africa.
Anyone else want to comment on their views?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to add to Annie's comment there. I think the last point she touched on was with regards to that role modeling and that big sister syndrome that we do see a lot now. We've got a lot of amazing tech Amazons who are doing great things. And thankfully, these women are in fact stepping out into the light and not being shy about their achievements, and in fact sharing and empowering sort of kind of the next generation, right? To say, okay, we've got to make sure that, as we climb that ladder, we pull up enough women, that come with us. And I think this really is helping break down some of those barriers that Annie has also spoken about, because they do see that, yes, you're not a robot, you're a real human being. You are in fact able to do it. You're sharing with me candidly how you did it, how you managed to break down the stereotypes, the cultural norms. And I think that is a huge, huge factor to everything that we do in tech.
Fantastic. Cathy, your experience in terms of inclusion diversity from a lawyer's perspective, how have you seen it?
Yes, as the two amazing ladies said before, we went from the emerging trades where youth was thinking that it was in to be in technology to use technology as also very important for economic development in Africa, one. And also, we saw also so many platforms where women are encouraging other women and young girls to, to step in the industry of technology. And this is very important because all those platforms and all those hubs that are created in Africa, where of course we know that there is challenges of infrastructure, etc. Some apps are creating, more possibilities and more space for women and young girls to get into the industry. For example, in DRC, we have this school with Malaika. She's part of the tech exposition. She's starting to introduce coding to girls from a certain age. This is really important. And also in few communities, you can see many apps who are created. As Ashim said, we have also mentor role models, but we have also women in tech who are stepping into the light and being mentored. And there is like the gap, there's no more gaps, and there is like bridges between mentees and mentors. This is very important to have it in few communities.
Fantastic. And Hafsat, from your perspective, with your initiative, Women in Africa, how have you seen the development?
So I think that it's a critical issue for Africa, and it's not one that we can play with. It's not one that we can just, treat in a lackadaisical manner, because actually the gap between men and women in owning mobile phones, for example, is just a 10-point gap. That's something. But the gap in using using mobile phones to access the internet is a 23-point gap between men and women. It's actually based where you guys are in England, and she worked with Amazon. She came out of the headquarters in Seattle, and she's a senior recruiter, so she recruits for the senior management positions and for tech, only tech. And in the 10 years she's been there, they've not hired, she's not been able to secure one Black person to,
Right.
much less of even a Black female person. Right now, she has a candidate that she's working with that is a Black woman, and she's really working very hard to see that this will happen. I think it's just a sign that continental level, even at the most basic level with 60 million women across the continent, we have a challenge. But even at the big career level, the major positions, there's also a challenge. And these are opportunities for us on the continent, so we need to breach those gaps.
Yes, agreed. So if I ask you all that in terms of the specific areas that we're seeing an increase in women in technology, what are those areas that you can highlight? Ashim, what are you seeing in terms of the specific areas?
Well, Didi, thanks for the question. I actually find that a really interesting question, because in my mind, there is no area that a woman can't be in, and certainly no area that I have seen women not indicating interest. Certainly, as we look how to bridge the gap between reducing those barriers and making tech not be so scary for, especially those from a non-technical backgrounds. Of course, we're not going to throw people straight into, data mining and AI engineering, but we may start with those technologies that are, maybe a little bit broader, maybe a little bit easier to, in first instance, A, understand and learn, but most importantly, B, put into economic use, right? So we must also ensure that whatever skilling initiatives we do, whatever training or encouragement, there has to be that clear translation into the economic benefit for that woman. And of course, then for her family as well, because that is the easiest way to make it a very convincing conversation for, any naysayers as well.
Excellent. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Cathy, from your side as well, how does that impact in terms of what you do?
With our foundation, which is a NGO, is based in Nigeria, in DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and also Cameroon. What we do, we are trying to create opportunities for women. So we are supporting women who want, of course, to do anything they want to do, to have access to trainings, to skill acquisition, and also to any, of course, in STEM, to have access to all those trainings. So what we do, we create like a LDF, Latiwa Development Foundation Accelerator, where in communities, of course, as we know, as Hafsat said, we have this problem of infrastructures, of internet, of electricity. We have many problems, that's challenges that we need to find solution. But what we are doing is trying to bring the technology to them, and also to encourage women to be confident that they are free and they are able to do anything they want. We have also resource centers. We have also resource centers where we are trying as well to give scholarship to women who want to get into engineering, science, etc. Also, in what we are doing in our project, for example, building of schools, hospitals, etc., we use women, and those women, engineers, are also role models and mentors to young women in few communities. So different communities who don't have enough capacity, you know, to get to school. We are also doing sensitization with government and especially Ministry of Education. We are trying to see how it's very important to upgrade the level of education in STEM in Africa, but also to have more schools who encourage women to be into it. And as Ashim was saying, the fact that there is also a gap of payments, salaries, few women doesn't have enough funds and finance to do and to continue the study in STEM. So we are also encouraging and trying to find scholarship for women in different universities and schools, few of them in DRC and in Nigeria as well. So that's how we are trying with local organizations to encourage women by mentorship, by scholarship, by also acquisition skills, and try to upgrade. There is also training of trainers, so training of professors from coding to the very low level of school, and also to a very high level like university. The last one we did in Nigeria was in a public school with Dream Girls, where some few girls between 8 and 13 was introduced, for example, to create solar panel for the school bag, so that when they go back home and they don't have lights, they can study with these lights. And also they create a solar panel in the school when they don't have electricity, at least for a few hours, they can have electricity to school. So
excellent. That's great. That's great. So talking about access, Hafsat, access is obviously one of the key things here. How do you see that being addressed in terms of your organization?
Okay, so in terms of women in Africa, because of normally women in Africa does our convening as a physical convening in Morocco, and hopefully if we're able to do it in 2021, you'd all be invited. Although I don't know that it looks like it might take a little longer for us to solve the current crisis. So if it does take longer, then 2022 you're invited. But we've been quite fortunate because of this crisis that we've now turned everything to the virtual dimension. And it goes directly to the question you're asking, Didi. Now we're able to do more. We're able to do more mentoring of women entrepreneurs using the virtual platform. Our partner for mentoring is Deloitte, and they do an incredible mentoring program for women in Africa. I don't know if any of you have applied before.
I did.
You did?
I did.
Did you get it?
Yes.
You already, You participated?
Yes, I participated during.
Isn't it just incredible? It's really, look, all of you must try, because I'm pushing our friends at Deloitte because they finance the whole thing.
Okay.
So I'm pushing them to do for hundreds, because right now they started with a number like 30. So I told them, well, what about 200? And then they went to 40. So I'm thinking that if next year I tell them 500, maybe they'll go to 200.
Yes, of course.
But it's really a well-designed program to encourage women entrepreneurs, to support them, to give them the skills they need, and they connect them to more established women entrepreneurs who support and coach them for a whole year, about 9 months actually. And I'm actually meeting with the new group later this month. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's one program. Another major program we have is with Honoris United Universities, which has the largest network of campuses across Africa. But they also offer a digital platform for their university. And they give free assessment of our women entrepreneurs, and then give them free training in the area, including up to MBA training for
Okay,
them
that's really
using
good.
that program. Then the last one, which connects directly to Cathy, your work, which I think means that we need to do something together in some of these countries, is a digital training coding for girls, which we do. We started in Senegal with support from a company called Sonangol, which you may not know, but it's the Senegalese name for orange in Senegal, and they supported us to do that in Senegal. But now we're doing it in Rwanda for a whole year, training young girls in high schools, public high schools in underserved areas of Rwanda, which I think will probably be very hard to find in Rwanda because the government does quite well, but I'm sure it must still exist, to really get the coding skills they need. And I designed this because the Senegalese program was just for a few days, but I was inspired by a wonderful Nigerian woman who did a similar program in Nigeria, and she took the program to one of these riverine communities in Lagos, where the families are doing those when you're crossing the bridge in
Yes.
Lagos. People that are from Nigeria and Lagos, you cross the bridge, there's some places and some people that live on the water and they fish. So this woman set up the program there, and then it was so Didi, the program was a miracle, because after she trained these young girls, the young girl went to her father and she created an app that allowed her father to bypass middlemen and go to the consumer and earn money from it.
That's exactly what we.
This is what we
Yes.
need. This is what we need on the continent. So in Nigeria and in Rwanda, those young girls,
Yes.
after the 9-month training, they're going to be able to we're going to partner them with women entrepreneurs in Rwanda to take them digital. And the idea is that because there's now the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement,
Yes.
free trade area, we want the African women gangsters in that world. I in my mind, I can already see Malian women. Have you seen the cloth they make in Mali?
I think it's. I wanted to ask Annie before we finish. Also, Annie, because also you're in Nigeria, you're in Africa, and how have you seen access? And then I thought we have to bring this to a close because we could go on forever. But Annie, from your side, how have you seen it?
Okay, let's talk about the numbers first, because we haven't really touched point on it so far. So in 2019, there was approximately 700 million that went to African startups. And in 2020, we're almost at that number already. So it should probably hit the $1 billion mark in 2020. Of those numbers, I mean, the focus, of course, is fintech, machine learning, AI type, systems, right? Of those numbers, there is less than 1% that is actually women, and then that has received some amount of funding, and then even less that there is a single woman founder that has received pure funding. So you have those numbers that are already out there telling you that women are already behind a curve when it comes to access and resources. So what's happening right now is that you're now seeing a lot of investors, women investors that are actually taking the lead, such as She Equity and Rising Tide. And you have other women that are just announcing that their monies that they're now funding to other startups, other women startups within, the technology sector. It's a very long shot. It's not something that we can say, we can brag about to our counterparts, whether in UK or even in the US, even though those numbers are not really a comparison trait. But if you're even looking at it, we're nowhere near the margin when it comes to African women and the type of funding that they would receive, if we're looking at apples to apples. So the key here is that although we all have these organizations, the focus still has to go back to allowing investors to see what women are creating, being able to show these investors that these women are doing amazing things and that they are definitely worth investing in. They've learned this, they've received this training, these accelerator programs, they're great. In the long run, it takes more than just, one or two or three or different organizations, because as we know, Africa is not a small country. So these resources are now being made more available. We all know Jack Dorsey is putting money aside to train young women and girls in technology. It's just a matter of us positioning all of our organizations to focus in on making that greater impact, which is allowing women to get the funding and allowing them to scale up, as we're seeing within our male counterparts.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time. But I think what we do know is that there is a great need for us to have this conversation, to include more women in this conversation, because the potential, not just in terms of what we can do for each other, but what we do for families, because we know if you educate a woman, you educate their family, and that's how you empower communities as well. So I'm excited for what each and every one of you are doing. I'm very grateful that we've actually had this time, because it's the beginning. I thank everybody who has been able to join, and I look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Didi, for hosting.